Pray silence for the Deputy Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Nick Clegg, Member of Parliament.
Chairman, my Lord Mayor, Your Excellencies, my Lords, Ministers, ladies and gentlemen, it's wonderful to be here. I am, of course, here as Deputy Prime Minister, but I want to open my remarks in my other capacity as a leader of a political party, the Liberal Democrats, perhaps with advance apologies to the Conservative ministers in the audience and a smattering of Labour MPs. You're just going to have to grin and bear it for a few minutes. Many in the corporate world do not automatically see my party, the Liberal Democrats, as natural allies. Perhaps that's because, most recently, we've rightly earned ourselves a reputation as loud critics of corporate irresponsibility, not least in financial services, following the crash in 2008. Yet historically, the Liberal Democrats are a party of industrialists and small business, staunch advocates of free trade between open economies, long believers in the power of enterprise to help individuals fulfill their own potential while serving society at large. And since coming into government, we've been taking decisions in the coalition day in, day out to promote British business, whether that's ensuring a sensible approach to Europe, where we're determined to defend and deepen the single market, protecting our place in it while the eurozone members integrate more tightly, whether it's a sensible approach to immigration, where we're tightening the system, but must do so without turning away the talented individuals who want to come here and make a contribution to your firms, whether it's pushing for more investment in green industry, where there's such high potential for growth. But perhaps I haven't said enough about these things. So from now on, I intend to be much more open about our attempts to support British business, to support you. I want you to be confident that my party is on business's side, that we are determined to put the private sector at the heart of a strong, rebalanced economy, that we will be sensible and centrist, pragmatic, not dogmatic at all times. Because, bluntly, with the economy still fragile, this isn't the time for dogma. There's a lot of speculation about what tomorrow's GDP figures will bring. Whatever they look like, we know that overall we've set the economy on the right path. But recovery is slow and fitful. Repairing the damage following the shock in 2008 is a gradual healing process. And the coalition government must and will remain absolutely focused on the reforms that will drive growth. Indeed, it's dogma, at least in part, that got the economy into the mess in the first place. It was blind faith in the unrestrained operation of financial markets that helped take the banking system to the edge of a precipice. Political, regulatory, and financial elites were so intoxicated with an unfettered and over-leveraged banking system that they refused to hear the alarm bells as the financial crisis loomed. They refused to see the deep structural weaknesses that had emerged in our economy. So we're now turning a page on the economic ideology of our recent past. And as we navigate these extreme times and uncharted waters, we should be vigilant against knee-jerk or dogmatic responses to our economic challenges. And tonight I'd like to single out 3 areas where pragmatism is especially needed from both government and business as we work together. First, we need a balanced, engaged approach to Europe, essential to the interests of the City of London. Second, we must prioritise lending to sound business, critical for our economic recovery. And third, we need to lead the shift to a more responsible, more sustainable corporate culture, critical to our long-term success. First, then, defending the city in Europe. The coalition's starting point is simple. We support difficult regulatory surgery at home and abroad where that is needed to stabilise the financial sector. But we will not accept steps that are anti-competitive or protectionist. The playing field must be kept level. That's why, for example, I don't support a European-wide financial transaction tax, though I would support a global one. Limiting the FTT in this way would skew the playing field. It would be bad for Europe in the world and bad for the United Kingdom in Europe. And what's more, at a time of high unemployment in Europe, the Commission has itself said that it would cost more jobs than it creates. On the other hand, I welcome the recently published Liikanen report, a set of reforms for Europe's banking system. It's largely consistent with our domestic intentions as set out in the Vickers report, and I'm keen that we should support implementation of the Liikanen proposals across the European Union, alongside implementing Vickers here in the United Kingdom. Where our situation is less straightforward is the eurozone banking union, at the top of the agenda at last week's European Council. And it's here we need, in my view, a sophisticated approach. Clearly, it's not a good idea for the United Kingdom to be part of a full eurozone banking union designed to break the vicious circle between sovereign debt and bank debt in the single currency area. But let's not forget that we're already part of a banking union light, the single market in financial services. And so while we have an obvious interest in the full eurozone banking union succeeding, at the same time we need to make sure it doesn't prejudice the United Kingdom. The worst outcome would be the creation of an overpowerful banking bloc, undermining the single market, undermining what remains by far Europe's largest financial centre, the City of London. So the question is, how do we get the best outcome? As someone who worked in Europe for years, my view is that the best approach is to engage fully and properly in the debate, making our case and winning the argument over and over again while decisions are being made. That's why the coalition government will now do two things. First, after last week's summit, we'll work flat out to make sure that the rules governing the relationship between the European Central Bank, in its new supervisory role, and the Bank of England, and the role of the European Banking Authority, are settled in a sensible manner. Second, we want to work with you to show that the city isn't just a British asset, but a European asset too. It's responsible for over a third of the European wholesale market. 80% of the hedge fund industry is based here. Our financial and professional services employ more people than Paris and Frankfurt put together. We've got more foreign banks than any other city. The largest insurance industry in Europe, AIM, Europe's biggest equity market for small business. The city is the biggest exporter of financial services anywhere in the world. And you know better than anyone that if London-based firms decided to leave, they wouldn't all head straight to Frankfurt or Paris. Many would go to New York, Hong Kong, or Dubai. And that's the reality I'm pressing with my European counterparts. And I implore the industry to do more to push this message yourselves, not least TheCityUK. The rest of Europe needs to be crystal clear. If they integrate in the eurozone in a way that hurts the city, they potentially hurt Europe as a whole. Second, lending. The thing our economy needs most right now is, of course, money flowing through it, especially for SMEs. And that is urgent. And it's essential if we're going to build a private sector that is vibrant, entrepreneurial, and diverse. So government is doing everything we can to help finance business. working with the Bank of England to deliver the £80 billion funding for lending scheme, creating a new business bank to support up to £10 billion worth of loans, setting up a green investment bank for low-carbon companies specifically, investing directly and leveraging private money through schemes like the Regional Growth Fund, as well as seeking to boost non-bank forms of financing like peer-to-peer lending and supply chain finance, and so on. But with such tight constraints on the public finances, we can only do so much. The bulk of the money has to come from the banks. I know that there are issues with demand, and I don't discount those. But perception is as big a problem as any. Many small firms don't think they'll get the loans. I know that the banks feel restricted by their capital and liquidity requirements. But the FSA has recently announced more flexibility in those requirements, a move I very much welcome, precisely because it increases the bank's capacity to lend. Third and finally, responsible enterprise, the theme of my last speech here in January. It's an issue that David Cameron and Ed Miliband have also spoken about. And whilst it is encouraging to see the parties converge for once, this must not be mistaken for a political bandwagon that will eventually just roll on. It won't. Responsible capitalism is not a fad. It's hard-headed economics. It's about empowering shareholders, investors, and ordinary workers to create a check on reckless decisions. It's about rewarding people who drive short-term profit, but who think about long-term stability too. It's about fair and healthy competition, so the best companies flourish and the most talented individuals rise. That's a corporate world more sustainable, ultimately more profitable, and which commands public support. Business doesn't operate in a social vacuum, especially at a time when banks have come to rely for their very survival on an explicit or implicit taxpayer guarantee. The public backlash against the banks hasn't just been uncomfortable for the sector, it has threatened the basic consent in society, without which the modern commercial banking sector would be unable to operate. So it is in businesses' own interests to be sensitive towards their social context. In government, we're delivering a range of reforms that will strengthen our corporate culture, many led by Vince Cable. New powers for shareholders, for example, to hold directors to account. Greater corporate transparency for investors. I'm pushing employee ownership to give more ordinary workers a stake. We're intervening to curb excessive supermarket dominance, providing extra protections for smaller retailers, taking action to open up more boardrooms to more women. The list goes on. But there is no silver bullet, and government can't do this alone. So I'm delighted to see more companies moving in this direction too. Diageo taking the lead in publishing their chief exec's pay transparently in a clear, single figure that can be judged against performance. The Institute of Chartered Accountants giving targeted, tailored support to small firms trying to access loans, helping rebalance the economy. PwC, KPMG, Linklaters, all opening their doors to young men and women from all backgrounds to nurture the nation's talent. The livery companies, the heart of the city and business in the community, working with companies and communities to help local young people achieve their potential. These and many other examples should embolden us all to do more, because this has to be the direction of travel. If we want a prosperous future, enlightened enterprise is the only way. So I ask you, this audience, the powerful commercial enterprises represented here tonight, to lead the way. I want us to work together as we rescue, repair, and reform the British economy after the damage sustained in 2008. A partnership based on hard-headed pragmatism, not dogma, and an unshakable belief in the dynamism and innovation of British business and the British people. Thank you very much for listening to me.